Have you ever fallen in love with a design that you saw somewhere? Indeed, the work of graphic designers are very admirable. I must admit that I have been a fan of good designs. Thank God that along the line I have picked that skill up. Hi, I'm Ehoneah Obed, and today in this video, I'll be sharing with you my journey to becoming a self-taught graphic designer. Graphic design is actually a skill, and like every other skill, it can be learned. My journey to becoming a self-taught graphic designer is as simple as I illustrate here today. The first time I ever thought of becoming a graphic designer was somewhere in 2010 when I was in secondary school. It was during one of my vacations in December 2010 where I came home to meet my older brother, who is actually a graphic designer. He introduced me to the concept of graphic designing and a software called CorelDRAW. So I started learning CorelDRAW with his help, and at the time he introduced me to the tools in CorelDRAW and their specific uses. And I started drawing out simple shapes like triangles, rectangles with the software. It was pretty amazing how I started and the progress I was making. Unfortunately, by 31st of December that particular year, the laptop that I was using was stolen, and that brought an end to my practice. I couldn't continue. It was not until somewhere 3 years after, that was like 2014, where I got a new computer from my brother. Then I got a friend to introduce me to another software called Photoshop. The reason why I couldn't go back to the old software I had already begun with was the fact that I didn't get a setup at the time, and this new friend that I met who introduced me to Photoshop had a setup for Photoshop and also had some tutorials for Photoshop. So that is how I began learning to teach myself graphic design. The principles by which I taught myself to become a graphic designer is similar to the principles that I used to teach myself programming, and I've shared that one in an already published video. You can check the description below for a link to that particular video. So using these principles that I spoke about in the previous video, you can also as well teach yourself to become a graphic designer. What then are these principles, you may ask? The first thing being that you need to get yourself a software for designing. So one, I was introduced to a software. Now the software that I can talk about is Photoshop, because that is what I've been using for this while. But some other software, just like the CorelDRAW I mentioned, like Sketch, and even nowadays there are much simpler ones that may even reside on a mobile phone. You can check out Canva. It is pretty easy, and for beginners I recommend you using Canva. The second principle is to get to know the functions of the tools in this particular software that you have chosen. So for mine, when I was introduced to Photoshop, the next thing I did was to learn the tools and their functions, every tool in it. Even though I couldn't use every one of them at a time, I learned the function of each of them. Then I stick to the ones that I use more often. So for instance, the rectangle tool used for drawing rectangles, the polygon tool for drawing polygons. Those were basic ones that I was using. Then the crop tool. So these tools, you have to introduce yourself to them, then keep practicing them. This brings me to my next point, or the next principle, which is start a project. The first kind of project that I start is what I usually refer to as fake projects. So you are now training yourself to become a professional graphic designer, I mean. So what you can do is go around and search for nice designs, every design that catches your eye. You can start from beginners level. Go online, Google, you can Google any design at all. So for instance, I want to design a business card. Go online and search Google nice business card. Then go to the images, look at it and try replicating it. That is what I refer to as fake projects. Continue doing these fake projects and keep practicing on it till you become better. So the next principle, which I have spoken about in this previous one, is the fact that you have to keep practicing. For you to be good at design, it takes practice, constant practice. So once you start a fake project, then you learn to practice. You practice every now and then to become better. After this, the next thing you want to consider is to take up real challenges, take up real projects. So what I did was that after that time I had entered the university, so I went about telling my colleagues that I'm a graphic designer, and hence any design that they wanted, they should bring it and I'll do it for them. So people started bringing me their designs, and that is the kind of real projects that I got. So you can speak to people around you, then from there you can start asking out, you can start advertising yourself on various platforms to get paying clients. I must confess that I make some cash from graphic design, because every now and then I get people knocking on my door that I need this design done, and once I'm doing your design, you definitely know that it will come with some cash. My advice to anyone out there who has ever thought of acquiring this particular skill of graphic design is that yes, you can do it. I've been able to do it. Even before I started, I was contemplating on it. The reason being that I find it difficult drawing. I'm very bad at drawing, I must confess. And so it has worried me throughout the period. But fortunately for me, I've stuck to it, and now I can do some great designs. I know you love my designs. Very soon, check out ehoneahobed.com and you see some of my designs in my portfolio. Once you have the motivation, I think you are good to go. One thing that has kept motivating me is the fact that a lot of my colleagues whom I design for come back to give me their feedback, and I love it when people appreciate what you do for them, especially the family and friends ones where you are not collecting any money from them. And even sometimes the ones that I collect money from, they come to tell you how awesome your designs are, and it is a wonderful feeling. You surely would want to have that kind of feeling. For me personally, another motivating factor is the point that I am a front-end developer, and being able to, or having this skill, this extra skill, gives me an upper edge over my colleagues who are also front-end developers but do not know anything about graphic design, because front-end developing is about the beauty of something. Like when you visit a website, a software that you are using, an app that you are using, what the interface that you see, they are responsible for it. So if you have this, I see the graphic design skill as a complementary skill to my front-end development skill, and it has helped me a lot. I know definitely that it will help you. So start from now, try learning this skill, practice as I have said already, then take on projects. You are sure to succeed at graphic design. And just as I have been able to teach myself graphic design, you also can teach yourself graphic design. The last thing is that one key thing about graphic design is that you need to know the basics of design. We call something the design principles. So when I started, I had an issue with combining colors, and even sometimes you do a design, you think it's nice, but I show it to people and it's not nice. So when I started learning and practicing the principles of design, then it started getting better. So find out what the principles of graphic design are, like contrast, alignment, a whole lot of them, color combination and everything. Learn and understand the principles, let them run, let these principles run through the designs that you do, and you will make awesome designs. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. I'm very happy that you met me on this channel. If this is your first time, consider subscribing to the channel. If you enjoyed this video, I would like you to like the video, then share with your friends as well. For everyone who has ever thought of becoming a graphic designer, let them know that yes, they can, and together we all shall be great. Till next time, it's bye.